A few days ago, maybe a week or so, I found, just accidentally, if there is something like that, then it is accidentally, a channel that releases videos about near-death experiences. Prior to that, I only read about those experiences. I didn't know that there were so many videos about that. And there was a video that I watched, and it was about a guy who died actually, and then came back to Earth, came back actually. And he described his experience when he was dead. He described his experience like he was visiting some other forms of life, some other planets actually. And it was like almost like the wish that came true. He just wanted to see what life somewhere else looked like. And he was brought to probably some kind of planet that basically he described it as a planet where some kind of humanoid beings lived. They didn't have the type of clothes that we do. And they asked him, who are you? Where do you come from? And they said, they basically communicated telepathically. So that means that they read his thoughts and he read their thoughts. This is the communication. And they told him, oh, this is very far away from us. And he told them that, well, basically, they asked him, do you eat something that was alive? And he said, well, yes. And the beings told him, like almost disappointed or something, they told him, oh, we knew that there are forms of life that are very low, but we didn't know that it was so bad. That bad, actually. This is what he said. We didn't know it was that bad. And there are some other things, but I won't go into those details. But they were, as he said, as he described, technically advanced, very advanced. And they told him, we don't eat that. We eat the cosmic food. And they asked him, what do you like to do? What do you enjoy doing? And he said something like swimming, snorkeling, something like that, you know. Well, that's about that. What I wanted to say in my video, in this video of mine, is that 4 days before I found this video, I already released one video of mine where I said about Adam and Eve, how they were, when they were made, they were really perfect. They didn't have, it was written, they didn't have they didn't have the need to eat like we do today. They also, it really came into my mind after this video, near-death experience video, that basically I told the truth. They lived in the Garden of Eden. They had many flowers, trees, fruits, blah, blah, blah. But they didn't have to put them in the mouth. I realized that they also ate cosmic food. What is cosmic food? Cosmic food would be the light, the love, the communication. They knew how to communicate. And it was always, granted to them. They lived for, I don't know how many hundreds of years. The moment they bit the apple, both of them, the addictions started. First of all, the addiction to food. And later, as I mentioned, it was her fault. Adam became a murderer. He had to go fishing, hunting, blah, blah, blah. I already said that. And for her, it's always somebody else's fault. This is how we the women live today. Still we live like that. It's always somebody's fault, something's fault. It's the snake's fault. It's somebody else's rules, words, lies, whatever. Somebody else did something and, you felt the consequences. So it's always like that with women. And with men, it's always her fault, of course. She is, you don't marry her or you do marry her. It doesn't matter. She's a cook, a cleaning lady, and a whore. That's it. And a servant, of course. Everything you need, she'll be the servant. And I've noticed in all those nations, even today, as we speak, in 2022, 21st century, in those countries, they don't have to be poor countries, but they don't have to be either rich countries. In those countries where women are really treated as servants, like it is normal. This is the only norm that there is. Men don't know how to communicate with women. They just simply do not know. They only know how to give commandments, and you have to, listen to them probably. I can't imagine how in the times when, for example, my grandmother or great-grandmother was born, that was probably more than 100 years ago. I can't imagine. Maybe I can, but it's very painful. But it's really unbelievable. Those people, how they knew nothing about women and the woman's world, basically about femininity. in general, but they were always kind of smartasses, you know. Failed Adam, who had to be important because of, I don't know, something, anything, whatever. And today, men are still like this today. But today, you know, as I saw it, they're pretty much used to live in comfort, a lot of comfort, and that's why they don't know anything. They don't know anything around the house. They don't know. I mean, 25 years ago, I met someone who was at that time 40 years old. So that means he was born somewhere in the 50s. He didn't know, he was a man who didn't know how to really, literally, he didn't know how to change the light bulb. He didn't. Oh, we have to call somebody. It's a serious thing, you know. It's just a stupid light bulb. His wife came home. Tomorrow morning, his wife came home from work and she just changed the stupid fucking light bulb. I mean, these are the men of today. Somebody knows something, but most of them don't. Now, I just said that about Adam and Eve from the Genesis, and 4 days after that, I found this video that basically it explained to me that, of course, I was right. You see, the two of them were created as it was described at God's image. So we were there. I mean, those two, they were there, created, not born. And they were, well, a miracle, God's creature, something like that, perfection, almost perfection, yes? But they stepped into something unknown, the unknown territory. I'm not sure why. I do think that it's because they did have a choice. Of course, they knew one truth, one very important truth. I'm talking about Eve, because she bit the apple. She was the first one who bit the apple. And she knew one important thing, one important truth. That it's not possible to die. It's impossible. God is almighty. He created me. There is no death. And she knew that it's impossible to die, but it's also impossible for the darkness, the darkness to win. Light never loses. That's what the light is. I'm not talking about the sun. I'm talking about generally the light, the intelligence behind that light, that is the light. It's just impossible. She knew that. Of course, Adam knew that too. But since then, we all live in illusions, not illusion in singular. It's in plural. the world of illusions, actually. And let me ask you one thing. Eve had sons, and I'm interested to know. This is for all those who separated male jobs and female jobs and, things like that. Of course, sometimes it's necessary. I can't lift a bag with 50 kilos. A man can. But I would like to ask you one little thing. Who was Eve's gynecologist at that time, huh? It must be her Adam. Yes, they have fallen after they bit the apple, blah, blah, blah. But who was Mary's gynecologist? The only person when she was in the barn with cattle. Cattle, can you believe it? This is how the Christ was welcomed to this earth. Who was her gynecologist, huh? It must be Joseph, because I don't know anybody else. He probably didn't have nurses and doctors. Maybe, if he called someone because he didn't know what to do. But that hasn't been described anywhere. Now, something else. Something that's been, bothering me. Not too much, but it's been bothering me. About 20 years ago, I think it was 20 years ago, maybe 19 or 20. Somebody told me that they read a book that is called The Warriors of Light, something like that. Warrior of Light, or The Warriors of Light. And immediately, as I heard the name of the book, immediately I thought to myself, what? What kind of name for a book is that? Since when the light has to be in a war? To me, it sounds really unbelievable. The humans are usually at war because of some kind of stupidity. Or maybe it's just greed. But the warriors of light, the light doesn't need to have warriors, doesn't go to war. The light just is, it exists and shines itself. It just shines the light and the darkness is gone. So it's been really bothering me basically ever since then. How can the light have a war or be in a war? Never. You see how people use the language in unbelievable, totally unbelievable ways, don't they? Oh, I just remembered. Here is another thing that Well, I think it's either very stupid or either very, well, let's say cunning. Why are the United States of America called the States? A state is a state of something, a state of mind, a state of, usually, yes, the state of mind, the state of your life or whatever. But the secret is this: life that you live, a life, is a state. Not statement, state. The state of your spirit, body, and soul. And of course, the mind. So, the one who invented the word state, United States of America, pay attention, of America. I'm not sure if he was stupid, crazy, or just very, very cunning. Now, yesterday, I went to that same YouTube channel about near-death experiences. And there was an experience from one woman. I don't know, I just clicked and started the video. And it's a woman who told her near-death experience. She took some kind of, I don't really remember, but I think she took some kind of medicine and she took too much, I think. I'm not sure. And, well, she died or something like that. She found herself somewhere in another sphere or dimension. And she saw some kind of light. And she was waiting. As she was talking, she explained it. She expected to be judged. Why she took one tablet more than she should have. And she said, I expected to be judged. Why did you do that? But nothing happened. And as she said in her video, I felt utterly and completely adored within that light. It was such love and understanding. So let me challenge you, all fuckers of the world, who say in your religions and in your religious schools everywhere in the world, who threaten people with punishments and who put a bad name on God, on the creator of everything, who put a bad name basically on Jesus Christ, who came because of our stupid choices. Maybe it's not stupid, maybe it's just a choice, it doesn't matter. But remember how he lived and remember how he died. If you don't, just read it. And this is what I just said about this near-death experience. And instead of punishment, she got nothing. She got a loving, wonderful, loving light and acceptance for who she is. One more thing. I'm going to say this for those who are terribly afraid of, darkness, devils, demons, something like that. I would like you to remember one thing. In the presence of God, every darkness just disappears. And I want you to remember that. Plus this. God is within you and all around you. Everything that you see around you, a tree, a house or something like that, it was made by him, by his idea of life. So every time you are afraid of evil, of something like that, the devil, you just remember that. Look at this picture that I put on my video. Wonderful cakes. I think there are 54 cakes, almost 60, something like that. And who wouldn't like to eat them all? Here is a lovely cake for you from me. As I said, life is a state of mind, body, soul, and spirit. Life is not a function that tells you what to do or determines your values. Even when you were born, somebody determined your values because you were a kid. Today's kids, they don't know any games to play. 4 years ago, I spoke with a woman who works in the kindergarten, and I asked her, do they know this game? Do they know that game? You know, just girls, do they play gumi like we did? You know, the rubber band. No, they don't know anything. She said, no, they don't know anything. Nothing. These children don't play. The job of a child, the only job a child has, is to play. To learn the game of life through playing. They don't know how to do that. So what do they do then? I asked her. Well, it's only about something that they saw on the TV. It's all about the mobile phone or some kind of games on the computer, of course. This is the only fucking thing these kids know. The kids of today. This is the future of us. This is our future. Then I was thinking and I told her, but in those games, for example, when you sit in front of the computer and you play some kind of game, in those games, the most important thing is that you are in control. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but you are in control. So basically, if you don't know how to play the game of life, you don't know how to communicate, and you grew up with that, what kind of a grown-up person will you be? The controlling one and the demanding one. If you don't control, you demand. If you don't demand, then you go back into the control and the possession, of course. It's just a game, a computer game. And they're filling our heads recently about the holograms, the space is a hologram, blah, 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 things like that. Who gives a shit, What they want to do, I will tell you their plans for the future. Who is they? I don't know who are they. I think they are those who, when they come to Jesus Christ, Jesus Christ will say, I don't know you and I never knew you, as he said already. Something bad, actually, something with a certain plan or an agenda for themselves, not for us, for me or something, but for themselves. I don't know why. Maybe because they're just bad. Their plan is this. As I said already, something's been going on to make, well, it's like some kind of sound that will influence people in a certain way. So the plan is to make us not like exactly like robots, but to make people I will call that, like, maybe the right word is the worker. You will be the workers. You will be influenced since, well, probably the early days in the kindergarten, you will be sort of deprived of your own emotions, because if you don't have emotion, it can be a false emotion, it can be a true emotion, but you are sort of separated from them, so that you don't know the difference between the lie and the truth. If you don't know that, how will you know the difference between good and bad, good and evil? Huh? Is there a difference? Well, that's the time when the evil, the real, like, illusion, will try to, in a certain way, to take over, control without any, you will have absolutely no purpose in life except being some kind of stupid function. As I said, life is not a function. You know, when you are unemployed and you don't feel very well, blah, 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 and you think to yourself, I'm not even useful to the society too, not just to myself, but to the society. Well, in a certain way, yeah, okay, that is the truth in a certain way, but not completely. A year ago, I spoke to somebody and this woman told me, you know what? The moment you get a job, you are nothing. You don't have any rights. You are fucking nothing and nobody, And she wasn't really wrong. She was right. You are just, it's okay to make money. It's just okay if you want to buy things and a house or something. But on the other side, it's not okay to be the slave of the idea that money rules over you and everyone else. And the whole world, of course. That's not okay. It's not okay to meet your family at Christmas one day in a year, And then what do you usually do? What I saw, it's not just in the movie. You can see it in the movies, but it's not just in the movies. It's in the real life too. When I was, for example, I'll tell you just one example. When I was in England, one guy told me, the Christmas is just one day in a year when you can be generous, just a nice person. Try to be nice, and give something to someone. And he told me it's just one day in a year. And if you can't be a human being, a generous human being, a good person, one day in a year, then there is really something wrong with you. And the first thought that came into my head was like, what about the other 364 days? Huh? So you can be a stupid bastard all year around except for one day. You've just been acting like you are a good person. And then people ask themselves why they knew somebody for like 20 years or 30 years. Oh, he's a good person, blah, blah, blah. And then suddenly in the newspapers you see that this wonderful person is a serial killer or something like that. Because it's easy to be an actor. It's just a face. You have to put on a face. You just have to do something that is expected from you. You don't have to be yourself, who you really are. You just have to put on a stupid mask. And it happens everywhere in the world, doesn't it? But the thing is, when something terrible happens, you remember Jimmy Savile? Of course, he was a weird guy. His behavior is not very. It's not English at all, actually. But I don't know why people were surprised. And it's in a country where everybody is expected to be some kind of actor, Some kind of mask you must have over there, because otherwise it's just not normal when you live there. Everyone has to be some kind of actor for some reason, for his own reasons. And I'm not going to mention other people around the world, in other countries. That doesn't mean that the evil is lurking, the evil is, rules the world, rules something like that. That's not the point. The point is this. If you behaved like this today, that means you never really liked me. And I let you, people out of courtesy, they do things for each other. Even if you don't like somebody, you still go to work, don't you? But you don't like your colleagues over there, or at least just one who gives you the problems, or just goosebumps. You still go to the same job, or maybe there is no other job. So people put up with some kind of shit, It's everywhere like this, isn't it? And, but the point is, you never really liked me. You never really loved me. And this is when something bad happens. This is when you rewind all your tapes in your head, and then you remember some things. Oh, I wish I listened more carefully. I wish I was more careful, but I wish that I had my ears more open to this. And the ears are open when you listen with your inner feeling, inner guidance is listening. And what the hell is a good manner? If I don't like you, I just leave. I don't even have to say goodbye, fuck off, or anything. I can just leave. And leave you alone to find another stupid victim. This is how it goes, isn't it? Remember, people, life is not a task. When you live your life, well, you are not here to have tasks, problems to solve. This is not a life. Life is not a job, an endless job. For whom? For what? For what purpose? Of course, you get some money, sometimes more, sometimes less, blah, blah, blah. But life is not a job. Job is not important. I am important. The human being, the state of me, that's what's important. I've met a lot of people. They live their lives, but they became rotten inside. Almost a little bit like almost like a robot, a little bit, with all his or her tasks, daily tasks. And this is how people started to with the upbringing of their own children. You know, a 3-year-old child is supposed to have tasks. A 3-year-old child is supposed to play. And a 4-year-old child, they don't have to learn how to read and write at the age of 4 or something like that. Who gives a shit? Their job is to play. Their job is not to be programmed. They just got here to this planet a few years ago. And they are programmed from this early age on that everything is a task. You have to have a function. You must this, you must that. Must. God never mentioned the word must. I don't remember. Did he? No, he didn't. It's those who want some advantages from you. Any kind of advantages. To use you for something, someone, it doesn't matter. It is them who want you to do something in return for some money. Of course, some people love their jobs and maybe he's an actor or a dancer or something like that. Very talented and he loves his job. But this is just a tiny little fraction of all those who are enslaved by their money, basically their past. Because in the past, in their own past, they had families who actually believed in the false promise that they will be better. Or at least, well, if I'm not better, then let it be for my children, you know. What the fuck do you know what is good for your children? It's only 50-50 percentage that you know what is good for your child. They have their own ways of living, of creating their future. But if you give them tasks, at the age of like 4 or something like that, you are not creating their future. You are creating their own abyss. To be the slave of somebody else's idea, what is good for them, what is not. In the end, you will have a lot of people, when they grow older, not a little bit older, like 15, 16 years old, but really older. And when they finally admit to themselves that they never had a real life, They're already old, but they don't remember certain things that are basically normal in human lives. They remember the fucking tasks. This is called living in a mental state, when the mental is more important than anything else. And mental is like, it can help you, but usually it's almost like a trash can. It's repeating bullshit over and over again without any, purpose, higher purpose of doing it, of life, of just question yourself. Why am I doing this? This is just a stupid circle. I want to get out. So basically, the children, the small, really small children of today, it's very, very, very questionable. In 20, 30 years, what kind of parents they will be. The future of the nation, the future of, the world. He can't change the light bulb. He lives 2 years in an apartment without he lives 2 years in one apartment, in the same apartment, without cleaning his toilet once in those 2 years, just once. But he has needs. He needs everything. He needs a dishwasher. He needs this machine, that machine. He needs this, needs that, needs. What fucking needs? Go into the forest, or you'll find needs there. And this is all from me for today. It's the 19th of May, 2022. In about 2 days, 2 or 3 days, it will be a year since I've started recording these videos. And in my previous video, I put the number 200 and I said, it's the 200th video. But I only have 120 on YouTube. So I've had some videos before too. But that's not important. The important thing is that you are looking at wonderful cakes. All those wonderful cakes right now. And these words that I said were cakes for you. For today, for the future, of course. Because in the future, they will need some kind of, how shall I say this, like a witness of how it was at this time. How it was to live at this time. How it was generally, how it was to create their future, where they will live when they listen to this, 20 years, 50 years, it's not very, how shall I say, promising future. Good night. And don't ever forget that God loves you. Don't ever forget. He doesn't judge you like rah, 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 rah. And He doesn't manipulate with you. He's the truth, and only the truth. And that's it.